Hi, so I wanted to ask, because so far a lot of people have actually said that Najib is pretty much quite like a Teflon Prime Minister. So despite all the scandal they are talking about, a few billions that went missing, but apparently it's sort of slided off him, and that he's managed to stay in power because there's like this core group of UMNO leadership that's sort of supporting him. So I was just wondering, based on your little birds who might be telling you, has there been somewhat like a shift in sentiments within UMNO leadership who has been supporting him, particularly in light of the recent Chinese investments that Najib has been courting? I've heard that some of them got quite unhappy, but I'm not very sure, so I was wondering what your opinions about that.
Yeah, I mean, I think there'll be a lot of people who are worried about this sudden sort of swivel, you know, as you know, as one MDB goes geopolitical, and you know, Najib swivels from the US to China. You know, he domestically he's been stirring, feeling up against you know, the minority population of Chinese. He's been allowing and paying for very aggressive pro-Malay activists like Ali Tinju and, you know, all the Red Shirt Brigade, and playing that domestic card, you know, and yet and it's very difficult to do that against your own Chinese population, and then go over, you know, to the superpower on your border and start courting, you know, this giant power into your political life. And of course, you know, I think there's a great deal of worry because, of course, what he's really doing with the Chinese is accepting a bailout. We all know how corrupt that major contract that he has now initiated with China. For, you know, he's basically, you know, a railway line that should cost 30 billion ringgit is costing, is it 90 billion ringgit? And of course, you know, I happened to get leaked the you know, the detail on that, which I published, which shows that actually they'd written into the darn contract paying off the 1MDB debts. And you know, and there was consternation when I published it, you know, and they sat on it for a few weeks.
This is the actual contract?
Yeah.
The actual contract that you saw?
Well, I've got a copy. It's on my site. Someone leaked it to me. And you know, I mean, it's blatant, you know, and really the Chinese have to think about, really. I mean, the CCCC, the firm concerned, has been banned by the World Bank from contracts because of its track record, actually in bribing for tenders. But you know, this is all backed by a soft loan from China, and the idea is that, you know, he's going to be able to hide his debts from 1MDB in this railway line. And Tony Poir, who's been an absolute champion, as you all know, on this whole issue, has been having enormous fun the last couple of days, you know, sort of comparing the cost per kilometre of this East Coast rail line, which, you know, is just a fraction less per kilometre than the subalp tunnel that's being drilled in Switzerland. You know, it's the most expensive railway in the world. Obviously commissioned without tendering, as usual. You know, so there are so many question marks over that Chinese radar, and of course he's riding too many horses, you know. So I think he is going to, you know, I mean, the Americans are not going to be delighted. So he's trying to sort of re-court Trump. He's trying to get in with the Chinese, and of course, you know, there's this very worrying initiative with the extremist Muslim agenda, which is upsetting many people within his own party who don't want to see hudud law and beatings and you know, amputations introduced to Malaysia. So he's worrying his own people in many ways. Yes, he does have them under his thumb. And the Teflon point, I don't know if it's Teflon. I think everybody knows he's dirty. The question is, you know, how long are the people that keep him in power? Because power was allowed to become concentrated so severely in Malaysia, you know, as the democracy basically degenerated owing to a one-party rule for 60 years. You know, they just kept centralising the power and then centralising it under the Prime Minister because, you know, they never changed hands, power never changed hands. And so it's an effective dictatorship. It is a dictatorship, effectively, because they won't even allow, you know, the opposition to win. You know, they just bulldoze through those elections. So the people around him are extremely worried. They're hanging around, you know, he's handing them money every month. And, you know, they'll jump when they have to. That's what I'm told anyway.
We have time for a couple of questions, yeah?